Some positive news for Rashee Rice as we kick off today's Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. Report coming out this morning that the photographer from the alleged Dallas nightclub incident wants the charges dropped and has written an affidavit to DPD to get those charges dropped. Here's Tom Pelissero on the report from NFL Network. The recent accusation by a photographer about him, Rashee Rice, assaulting the photographer on the way out of a club. I can actually tell you the photographer recently dropped those charges. He gave an affidavit to Dallas Police Department saying it was a misunderstanding. This is obviously big for Rashee Rice. He's still got an uphill climb ahead here, and he's still in some trouble. There's no question about it. But to get this second incident wiped away here, assuming DPD doesn't, look into this further on their own, which it certainly doesn't sound like they're going to do that, it is significant and it's pretty notable, I would say, because obviously the bigger incident in the first one that took place, the car accident, is still there. Tom Pelissero making sure to mention that he had the car crash in which he faces 8 felony charges for his role there. I still expect a suspension, but what Rashee Rice could not afford were 2 notable legal incidents in the matter of 2 months. That was just not going to be good for his status potentially with the team, but also with the league as they evaluate how much they're going to suspend this guy, because I still think that is going to happen. Again, still an uphill battle here. Challenges are coming for him from a legal standpoint, and within the league. But to get this second incident, kind of wiped away here, that's big and that's important, and that certainly helps his cause in terms of trying to move on from this and just being a better and more reliable teammate, to be completely honest with you. So that is certainly good news to discuss this morning. I want to know, do you think that Rashee Rice gets suspended still? I certainly do. Type Y for yes, type in for no. And if you want to go above and beyond, let me know how many games you think he's going to get suspended down in the comments. I'm thinking 4 to 8 games. That report from, I believe it was James Palmer before the alleged nightclub incident, which again, the photographer has written an affidavit to get those charges dropped. He was saying the Chiefs were bracing for half the season to get suspended. So I still think a big suspension is on the table. I could see the NFL handing out 8 games and then Rice appealing, getting it down to 6, something like that. That happens a lot of times in these situations where the NFL kind of aims high. Player/NFLPA appeals, they knock off a game or 2, and then everybody just kind of goes on about their merry way. So maybe settle in at 6 games. We'll have to wait and see. But if he can get back in the middle of the season, that would be huge because he emerged as this team's number 1 receiver last year. Now, obviously, Travis Kelce's Patrick Mahomes' number 1 overall target, but Rice, especially the second half of the year, kind of carried the wide receiver room in that period of time. And remember, what were we talking about all of last year? Drops, guys running the wrong routes. It was just a mess, and Rice became that reliable player on the field, which is why it was so frustrating to see this kind of 2-month period where he's just messing around. Dude, you don't have to be a great citizen. Just don't be an idiot. That's kind of what it comes down to. Don't rent a Lamborghini and, go street racing on I-75 in the middle of the day in Dallas. If you just make better decisions, you could have it all. I've mentioned it. You could make $100 million in this league. You could be Patrick Mahomes' top target. So we'll see how it all shakes out in the end. I would still explore wide receiver options, by the way, because I do think Rice is going to be suspended, even if it's just 4 games. That wide receiver room without him for a month is not that great, unless you really think Xavier Worthy right away could be a big-time player. I think that's asking a lot out of any rookie, much less one late in the first round. So I would still see what's out there. There's notable names still. Michael Thomas is intriguing. Obviously, he has injury history, but I would consider looking at him. Hunter Renfrow could play some slot for you. McCole Hardman, we know he's kind of more of a gadget guy, but he knows the offense. It would be a familiar face there. Russell Gage, Sterling Shepard, some lesser options for me, but still some veterans that are out on the market. All right, let's talk Charles Omenihu and update. I'll put in air quotes. This isn't some, doctor, written update or anything like that. But Charles Omenihu did tweet out something in terms of his status as he recovers from a torn ACL. We will get to that here in just a few moments. But Speaking of Xavier Worthy, if you want to represent number 1, get his jersey today at chatsports.com/worthy. Why not rock the rookie's jersey there? I know a lot of you guys already have Mahomes jerseys. Add to the collection. Get the Xavier Worthy one. Chatsports.com/worthy. That link is in the comments and in the description. Click and shop today. Get yourself a Xavier Worthy jersey. So Omenihu on Twitter X posted this yesterday. Said 3 months today. Slow motion, but we moving. And he had ACL surgery, I believe, February 20th, February 21st, which, again, 3 months today. And this is one of those procedures that it really just depends how long it takes. On the fast end, guys sometimes return in 6 months. For a bigger, heavier defensive lineman like Omenihu is, that feels quick. 10 months is typically on the latter end now. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you tore an ACL, it's like, you're out a year. That's not really the case anymore. I'd say 8 to 9 months is kind of the average typically. Now, there's outliers. Some guys do take 11, 12, 13 months, especially if there's a setbacks. Every once in a while, you see a guy come back in 5 months. It certainly does happen. I would expect, somewhere in the middle there, and hopefully he does get back and fairly early on in the season and play, because after he served his 6-game suspension to start last year, guy had 7 sacks in 11 games, 11 quarterback hits. I mean, he was a very, very good player. I remember when they signed him, knowing that he would probably get suspended, I was like, I'm a little surprised by this move. And they were right. I mean, they bet on this guy, and he played really, really well. Obviously, you brought back Mike Dana, which is big, with Omenihu banged up right now. You've got Karlaftis, who has had a good couple of first years in the league. Does B.J. Thompson do something in year 2 here? Does Felix Njidike-Uzomah do something in his second season? We'll have to wait and see. I do think you have some question marks about the depth on the defensive line. We'll talk a little bit more about that moving forward. But Omenihu played a big role. I think he is a more explosive pass rusher than Mike Dana when healthy. So, once he's healthy, you pair him with Karlaftis. Dana is kind of your number 3 guy. I think that's ideal. It's just the question is, how much time is Omenihu going to miss? Because I would be shocked if he was back for the season opener against the Baltimore Ravens. That would put him at just over 6 months recovery time. That's probably not going to happen for a 270-pound defensive lineman recovering from an ACL. I doubt he's back week 1. Now, could it happen? Sure. Like I said, there's outliers. Guys come back 5 to 6 months sometimes, but that's pretty rare, especially for bigger players. So you kind of look at the schedule here, when could be an area he comes back? I kind of look after that bye week, right? Week 7 against the Niners. We'll talk about that in a second. Obviously, second half of the season as well here, starting with Tampa in week 9. Maybe that's more of the range there in the middle of the season. Early November would kind of put him at, you'd be kind of 8 months removed, 8 months and change. Maybe that's more of the range here. Chiefs week 7 after that bye week, so you only miss 5 games. That's kind of what I'm eyeing. That's right at 8 months post-surgery. Now, is that pushing it? Maybe, but if he gets cleared for football activity, at the 6.5, 7 month mark, give him a month to prep, get him back after that bye week and full throttle the rest of the season. That's kind of a game I'm outlining. Obviously a big one. The 49ers are going to want to bring it after the Super Bowl loss, but maybe that's around the range of when he could return. And look, if he does miss that amount of time, even that, which could be on the earlier side of things, that's still missing 5 games, 6 weeks of the season. I look at the defensive line, both at defensive end and at defensive tackle, really more so defensive tackle, quite frankly. You're pretty thin. I think you could use another body there. I like Mike Pennell, but is he going to do what he did in the playoffs again for a full season? I'm not sure. I think the Chiefs need another defensive lineman. If you added one more vet cheap receiver and one more vet defensive lineman, I think you're kind of set if you're Kansas City right now. I think these are 8 names that are intriguing to me. Calais Campbell, we'll talk more about him in a sec. Some edges with Agba, Lawson, and Ngakoue and Jerry Hughes. Big boy inside, Linval Joseph, Tyus Bowser, who can come off the edge. Harris, who's kind of a tweener, can play 3-tech and some edge for you if you need him to. I'm looking at Calais Campbell because he kind of fits who the Chiefs are. He's a vet. He would fit in great in the culture. He would add a lot to the locker room, and he's still productive on the field. 6.5 sacks, 17 QB hits. And what I really like, too, is I mentioned you're kind of thin at both edge and defensive tackle. Well, Campbell can kind of solve both of that. He can play inside and out, especially in a 4 down lineman formation with which the Chiefs run. They run a 4-3. So he's appealing to me. I don't know what he would want financially. The Chiefs would probably want him to take a little less, I would guess, just based on, pitching him on a chance to win a Super Bowl and all that stuff. But if you could bring him in here, I think that would be the ideal signing, because it's kind of two birds, one stone. You get a guy that can play edging and defensive tackle, and while he may want, some decent money, it's not going to cost more than $5 or $6 million, I don't think. And the Chiefs could certainly do that if they wanted to. Should the Chiefs sign Calais Campbell? What do you think? Type S for sign or P for pass. I'd like to see it happen. Whether or not it does, we'll have to wait and see. But I think he would be an excellent, excellent fit. All right, that's going to do it for today's Chiefs Report. We will be back tomorrow with the latest Chiefs news and rumors, some more notes from OTAs as Day 2 of practice getting underway here. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll talk to you then.